Rain hit my kitchen window while I folded a $58,000 wedding check for my daughter Amanda. I was alone in Catherine's old house sending money for a wedding I would never truly be part of. Every sound in that kitchen felt heavier than it should have. Amanda's voice came through the phone, distant and rushed, surrounded by laughter I was not part of. Before continue the story, tell me honestly, would you forgive your own child if they excluded you after everything you sacrificed for them? Subscribe because devastating truths will be revealed in the end, so stay till the end. Before I could speak, Derek took the phone and told me the rehearsal dinner was only for immediate family. Then I heard it clearly I was not included. Later Amanda confirmed it like it was normal, saying Aunt Diane would walk her down the aisle instead of me. That moment did not feel real, it felt edited. I had paid for everything: venue, catering, flowers, photography, music, every single detail. That night I checked my accounts and saw money disappearing through withdrawals I never approved. The wedding I funded was moving forward without me in it. My name was already erased from the places I financed. I sat in silence, listening to the house breathe around me. Catherine's absence felt louder than everything else. Every memory of raising Amanda came back at once. Birthdays, school years, college, everything leading to this moment. I kept asking myself where I stopped being her father and became just a source of money. Nothing answered me back. Only silence stayed. The next morning I opened my banking records again, hoping I was wrong, but I was not. Small withdrawals continued appearing, labeled as emergency expenses and temporary transfers. None of them had my approval. I called the bank and demanded answers while my hand stayed steady on the counter. After the call, I began removing shared access from every account connected to Amanda. It felt like cutting invisible wires that had been holding my life together. By afternoon, my phone started ringing non-stop. Amanda called first, then text messages followed one after another. She did not ask what happened, she demanded why the money stopped. Her voice was sharp, not confused. She said the wedding was in danger because of me. I told her I was reviewing my accounts. She said I was ruining everything for no reason. I stayed silent. Derek sent a message calling my behavior selfish and unnecessary. Nobody asked about the missing money or the unauthorized activity. Only the flow stopping mattered to them. That night I sat alone in the same kitchen and realized the wedding I funded had already moved beyond me. I was no longer part of decisions, only consequences. The house felt quieter than before, like it had accepted my exclusion. I did not sleep that night. I just listened to silence that felt final. 3 days later, a man arrived at my door carrying legal documents. He did not explain anything, only handed me the envelope and left. Inside were court papers listing Amanda and Derek as plaintiffs against me. They claimed I had promised financial support for the wedding and then withdrawn it unfairly. They demanded compensation for costs and emotional damage. I sat at the kitchen table reading every line slowly. My name was written like a defendant, not a father. My phone started ringing immediately after I finished reading. Amanda called repeatedly, but I did not answer. Messages followed saying I was destroying her life and ruining everything. Derek sent a longer message warning me about consequences if I did not cooperate. None of them mentioned the missing withdrawals or how the money was used. Only my stopping it mattered to them now. The house felt different that day, like it had become a witness. Catherine's photograph on the shelf looked unchanged but distant. I kept thinking how a wedding I paid for became a courtroom case against me. It did not feel like conflict anymore, it felt like replacement. I was no longer the father financing a wedding. I was now the obstacle in their story. That realization stayed longer than anything else that day. I closed the papers and sat in silence without moving. Everything had officially shifted beyond repair in their version of the story. My lawyer Celeste Chen asked me to bring every record I had. Bank statements, receipts, messages, and any proof of payments were spread across her table. She reviewed everything without interrupting or reacting. $97,000 had been transferred over 3 years. Weddings, debts, credit cards, business failures, everything was documented. Each transaction carried my support but no return acknowledgement. Celeste highlighted patterns showing dependency built over time. She said this case was not about a wedding anymore. It was about financial control disguised as family expectation. I listened but did not respond immediately. The numbers felt heavier than arguments. Every payment represented a decision I thought was love. Now it looked like structure, not emotion. Celeste prepared a counter-strategy based on records and messages. She showed how promises were never legally binding without written agreement. She also pointed out conflicting claims in their lawsuit. My phone kept lighting up with new messages from Amanda. I did not open them. Instead, I focused on the documents in front of me. For the first time, I saw the entire timeline clearly. Every request, every transfer, every approval I gave without hesitation. It all led to this moment sitting in a lawyer office facing my own daughter legally. Investigators began reviewing Derek's financial background soon after. They requested records connected to multiple investment accounts and transfers. What first looked like a family dispute started expanding into something larger. Suspicious transactions appeared across different names and offshore accounts. Amanda still defended Derek in messages sent to me. She insisted everything was legal and I was overreacting. But her confidence started changing as questions increased. Celeste told me to stay away from direct contact. She said anything I said could be used in court. I followed her instructions and stopped responding. Days passed with silence except for legal updates. Then investigators confirmed Derek had prior complaints from other victims. Fake investment opportunities and promised returns were part of a pattern. Money from multiple families had been moved through hidden accounts. The situation was no longer just about my daughter. It was now part of a financial fraud investigation. I felt something shift, but it was not relief. It was realization that I was never the only one affected. Amanda sent a final message saying I was destroying their future. I did not reply. For the first time, her words did not control my reaction. The system around Derek was collapsing piece by piece. And Amanda was still standing inside it without seeing the full picture. One evening, Amanda came to my house unannounced. It was raining heavily and she stood outside for several minutes before I opened the door. She looked different, tired and uncertain instead of angry. Her voice was quieter when she finally spoke. She said things were not what she believed anymore. She mentioned investigators and pressure building around Derek. For the first time, she did not defend him strongly. She avoided eye contact while speaking about the wedding. She admitted she was also being pushed out of decisions. I listened without interrupting her. The same daughter who once demanded money now looked unsure of everything. She said she did not know about the financial issues. But her words did not erase what had already happened. She stood in silence after speaking, waiting for a response. I did not give her anger or forgiveness. Only silence filled the space between us. She eventually left without argument. The rain followed her as she walked back to her car. I closed the door and sat down slowly. Nothing about that moment felt like resolution. It felt like collapse from another direction. Two versions of truth now existed in the same story. Neither of them could undo what had already broken. The wedding proceeded without me as everything moved forward publicly. I did not attend and no one asked again. Behind the scenes, the investigation expanded into full fraud charges. Derek was arrested and taken into custody shortly after. News reports began covering financial scams tied to his name. Amanda disappeared from conversations for several days. The lawsuit against me started weakening under legal review. Celeste said their claims had no strong foundation anymore. Promises without written contracts could not hold in court. Their case was collapsing under its own structure. I did not celebrate anything. The situation did not feel like winning. It felt like everything breaking at once in different directions. Amanda eventually sent one message saying she did not know the full truth. I did not respond immediately. There was nothing simple left to say. The house stayed quiet again like before, but different now. It no longer felt like waiting for something to happen. It felt like everything had already happened. Catherine's photograph remained in the same place unchanged. I sat near it longer than usual that night. For the first time, I did not replay every decision I made. I just stayed still in the reality of what remained. After the arrests and legal collapse, silence settled into my house again. No wedding calls came anymore. No requests for money followed. The same kitchen where everything started now felt distant. I moved through days without urgency or pressure. Amanda stayed away for weeks without contact. Her absence felt different from before. Not rejection this time, but consequence. I spent mornings fixing small things around the house. Loose boards, broken handles, forgotten corners of life I ignored for years. Each repair felt like reclaiming space I lost slowly over time. Celeste updated me occasionally about ongoing fraud proceedings. Derek's case expanded as more victims came forward. The scale of deception kept growing beyond anything I expected. Amanda was not charged but remained emotionally tied to everything. She sent one short message saying she needed time. I did not chase or respond immediately. There was nothing left to argue about. Only distance remained between what was and what became. Catherine's photograph stayed on the mantel unchanged. Sometimes I caught myself talking to it without thinking. Not for answers anymore, just habit. Life no longer revolved around fixing someone else's consequences. It became quieter in a way I did not understand at first. Then I realized nothing was being taken from me anymore. That realization did not feel good or bad. It just felt final. Months passed and the courtroom attention slowly faded from headlines. Derek's sentencing was confirmed after multiple fraud charges were proven. He received a long prison term along with financial restitution orders. Amanda attended parts of the proceedings but avoided public attention. She looked different every time I saw her. Less certain, more withdrawn from everything around her. The legal case against me was fully dismissed by then. Celeste confirmed there were no remaining claims valid in court. What started as a wedding dispute ended as a fraud case. I did not feel victory from it. Only exhaustion remained after everything unfolded. Amanda eventually asked to meet me again. We met in a quiet place away from everything familiar. She did not speak immediately when she arrived. Her voice broke when she finally apologized. She said she believed things without understanding them fully. She admitted ignoring signs she should have questioned earlier. I listened without interrupting her. There was no anger left in me to express. Only memory of everything that happened. She said she lost everything connected to Derek's world. Friends, trust, stability, and control over her own choices. I told her nothing could change what happened. But silence stayed between us longer than words. That silence was not peace yet. But it was no longer war. Time passed without legal battles or constant tension. Life slowly returned to ordinary patterns I had forgotten. I woke up without checking messages first thing anymore. The house stayed quiet but no longer felt empty. Amanda began rebuilding her life separately from everything before. She worked again and stayed away from old influences. Her communication with me remained limited but stable. No demands, no pressure, just distance. I spent more time outside walking and repairing small things. Routine replaced chaos without me noticing the change fully. Catherine's memory stayed but no longer felt like weight. It felt like presence instead of absence. Celeste closed the final files on the case. Everything legally connected to the situation was resolved. There was nothing left in court or investigations. Only personal history remained to deal with. Amanda visited once without warning. She did not ask for anything. We talked briefly about normal things without conflict. She left quietly after that meeting. I did not stop her. Life continued in a different form than before. Not repaired, not perfect, but no longer collapsing. The story did not end with resolution. It ended with distance and understanding that came slowly. And that was enough to move forward.